Samson. Judges 14, 5-20. 5. Then went Samson down, and his father and his mother, to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnah, and behold, a young lion roared against him. 6. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and he had nothing in his hand, but he told not his father or his mother what he had done. 7. And he went down and talked with the woman, and she pleased Samson well. 8. And after a time he returned to take her, and he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion. And behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. 9. And he took thereof in his hands, and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. 10. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. 11. And it came to pass, when they saw him, that they brought 30 companions to be with him. 12. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle unto you. If ye can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast, and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. 13. But if ye cannot declare it me, then shall ye give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And they said unto him, Put forth thy riddle, that we may hear it. 14. And he said unto them, Out of the eater came forth meat, out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. 15. And it came to pass on the 7th day, that they said unto Samson's wife, Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so? 16. And Samson's wife wept before him, and said, Thou dost but hate me, and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father, nor my mother, and shall I tell it thee? 17. And she wept before him the 7 days, while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the riddle to the children of her people. 18. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day, before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. 19. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto them which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. 20. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. In this passage, honey is used as a symbol of salvation. Exodus 3:8. 8. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them out of that land unto a good land and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Proverbs 24:13-14. 13. My son, eat thou honey, because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to thy taste. 14. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul, when thou hast found it. Then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. The lion is the symbol of the king, or Jesus. Samson is also a symbol of Jesus here. I know that makes for 2 things symbolic of Jesus in the story, but there are other times when God is shown as more than one thing in a story. It represents the fact that he is the beginning and the end of our salvation. Samson's wife is a symbol of the church. The wedding of Jesus and the church is an ongoing theme in the whole Bible. Samson kills the lion, Jesus, and finds inside salvation. He gives this to his father and mother. When those present at the wedding feast figured out the riddle of salvation, Samson killed 30 men of Ashkelon, who symbolize the unsaved people, and takes their garments, covering for sin, and gives it to the others at his wedding party. Then they give Samson's wife to one of his companions. This is symbolic of the church's being separated from Jesus until he returns to earth. He also saves her from being burned by fire, as Jesus saves from the fires of hell. In this story, Samson also breaks two of the laws of the Nazarites. One is touching a dead body, the other is drinking wine. Although not explicitly stated in the English text, the word which is translated feast has the connotation of a drinking feast. Jesus was without sin until he took on the sins of the world. When he gave honey, salvation, to his parents, he was at the point when sin came upon him by killing the lion with his bare hands. When he invites those who will be at the wedding feast, then he is responsible for ensuring their salvation with his taking on sin. So at each point of sin there is the bringing of salvation to others. In Judges 16:4-31, we read the story of Samson and Delilah. 4. And it came to pass afterwards that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. 5. And the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and said unto her, Entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him, and we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. 6. And Delilah said to Samson, Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. 7. And Samson said unto her, If they bind me with 7 green withs that were never dried, then I shall be weak, and be as another man. 8. Then the lords of the Philistines brought up to her 7 green withs which had not been dried, and she bound him with them. 9. Now there were men lying in wait and abiding with her in the chamber. And she said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he brake the withs as a thread of tow is broken when it touches the fire. So his strength was not known. 10. And Delilah said unto Samson, Behold, thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Now tell me, I pray thee, wherewith thou mightst be bound. 11. And he said unto her, If they bind me fast with new ropes that never were occupied, then I shall be weak, and be as another man. 12. Delilah therefore took new ropes, and bound him therewith, and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And there were liers in wait abiding in the chamber, and he brake them off from his arms like a thread. 13. And Delilah said unto Samson, Hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightst be bound. And he said unto her, If thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. 14. And she fastened it with a pin, and said unto him, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he waked out of his sleep, and went away with the pin of the beam, and with the web. 15. And she said unto him, How can thou say, I love thee, when thine heart is not with me? Thou hast mocked me these 3 times, and hast not told me wherein thy great strength lieth. 16. And it came to pass, when she pressed him daily with her words, and urged him, so that his soul was vexed unto death. 17. That he told her all his heart, and said unto her, There hath not come a razor upon mine head, for I have been a Nazarite unto God from my mother's womb. If I be shaven, then my strength will go from me, and I shall become weak, and be like any other man. 18. And when Delilah saw that he had told her all his heart, she sent and called for the lords of the Philistines, saying, Come up this once, for he hath showed me all his heart. Then the lords of the Philistines came up unto her, and brought money in her hand. 19. And she made him sleep upon her knees, and she called for a man, and she caused him to shave off the 7 locks of his head. And she began to afflict him, and his strength went from him. 20. And she said, The Philistines be upon thee, Samson. And he woke out of his sleep, and said, I will go out as the other times before, and shake myself. And he wist not that the Lord was departed from him. 21. But the Philistines took him, and put out his eyes, and brought him down to Gaza, and bound him with fetters of brass, and he did grind in the prison house. 22. Howbeit the hair of his head began to grow again after he was shaven. 23. Then the lords of the Philistines gathered them together, for to offer a great sacrifice unto Dagon their god, and to rejoice, for they said, Our God hath delivered Samson our enemy into our hand. 24. And when the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, Our God hath delivered into our hands our enemy, and the destroyer of our country, which slew many of us. 25. And it came to pass, when their hearts were merry, that they said, "Call for Samson, that he may make us sport." And they called for Samson out of the prison house. And he made them sport, and they set him between the pillars. 26. And that Samson said unto the lad that held him by the hand, Suffer me that I may feel the pillars whereupon the house standeth, that I may lean upon them. 27. Now the house was full of men and women, and all the lords of the Philistines were there, and there upon the roof were about 3,000 men and women that beheld while Samson made sport. 28. And Samson called unto the Lord, and said, O Lord God, remember me, I pray thee, and strengthen me, I pray thee, only this once, O God, that I may be at once avenged of the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson took a hold of the 2 middle pillars upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand, and of the other with his left. 30. And Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. And he bowed himself with all of his might, and the house fell upon the lords, and upon all the people that were therein. So the dead which he slew at his death were more than they which he slew in his life. 31. Then his brethren and all the house of his father came down, and took him, and they brought him up, and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol, in the burying place of Manoah his father. And he judged Israel 20 years. Delilah is a symbol of those who are saved, and they are not saved by their own works. Samson is betrayed by his feelings to Delilah, even beyond the point of reason. He allows himself to be captured and killed because of his love for her. When he is shaved, that is a symbol of his dying, and that is why the strength leaves him. It is also the last of his Nazirite rules he abandons. As in the previous segment, he takes on sin at the symbolic point of his death. When he grows his hair back, this symbolizes the resurrection of Jesus. When the Philistines bring him to their place of worship, he kills them along with himself. God's judgment is only perfect and just because someone has taken on the sins of the believers, like when Samson is destroyed with the Philistines. He is avenged for his 2 eyes because the eyes symbolize his will. As Jesus, it was his perfect will, which was taken from him when he died because the sinner's sin was put on him. This book is available to download in its entirety for free at smashwords.com and eventually here on YouTube. If you want to hear more, subscribe to this channel. God bless.